What's up, ladies and gentlemen, Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my public YouTube channel. I have a really interesting topic for today's video. I'm sure you can see by the title of this video, you probably already know what it generally revolves around. I'm going to be speaking about Travis Scott. Now, one of the reasons why I'm speaking about Travis Scott is because obviously he just released a new album that is called Utopia, and a lot of us are starting to remember what took place back in, I think it was 2021, when he did his Astro World Performance Festival, and it really ended up becoming a very significant satanic, dark, black magic ritual where several people ended up losing their lives, and just from a crowd standpoint, they said it was literally like living hell.
This time at Astroworld, it was totally different. It was just like a concert from hell.
The way they described the scene at Energy Park Friday night is enough to rattle someone who wasn't even there. Unable to breathe, piles of people on the ground, some clawing on their clothes as a lifeline, trying to get up so they weren't trampled, pressed so close to strangers that you couldn't lift your arms or turn your head. They were trapped and helpless.
Okay, so I recently, I guess because Travis Scott is big on the algorithm, there has been content that has Travis Scott in it that has come up on my YouTube channel that kind of brought me back to the Astro World Performance, and I believe I may have covered this in the past. I definitely know that I covered it in depth on my Patreon, so if you want to go into that, you can check it out on my Patreon, but I also want to cover it again on a YouTube video to really explain the practicality of the ritualistic symbolism and performance that is taking place during that Astro World Performance with Travis Scott. So if you want to actually know, coming from a real professional occultist who understands the deeper layered sciences behind what's actually taking place when it comes to black magic, rituals, Satanism, Luciferianism, and all things along this nature. If you actually want to hear an authentic perspective of what this actually does in our mass collective with the entertainment industry, if you want to know what's actually happening here, this is your video. I'm going to be breaking down Astro World, which took place, I believe, in 2021 with Travis Scott. I'm going to be breaking it down so that you understand the ritual that was actually triggered during that time frame. Once again, if this is what interests you, obviously stay tuned. Let me first start with introducing myself just in case you're new to my channel. My name is Jeremiah Schwartz. I'm a professional occultist. I'm fully initiated in the entirety of the Kabbalistic tree. I'm studied when it comes to the 22 major arcana of the tarot deck. I'm studied when it comes to planetary energies in association with astrology. And I'm also studied when it comes to the nervous system and trauma, the connection between those two, which becomes very significant. All right, so with that being said, let's get into our very juicy subject today. I'm sure this is going to be a popular topic that a lot of people actually want to know about, and I can almost guarantee you I am probably 1 out of a billion people that is actually going to give you the raw, honest perspective and understanding of what this is all about. Specifically, I'm going to be breaking down Astro World with Travis Scott and the big ritual that he performed during that performance. Now, this is not just secluded to Travis Scott. There are so many A-list celebrities. There are so many celebrities in general, so many people that are in these positions of influences that are doing these similar types of things. Now, I'm even going to go into explaining on how I've done these things before and how I still sort of use this energy in my own way. All right, so remember, I'm coming from the space of speaking as an actual black magician myself, someone who's experienced with the darker arts and generally the darker aspects of the universe, the more so negatively charged aspects of how our universe functions. Remember, at the end of the day, it's just the difference between the yin and the yang. All right, so Luke, for those of you that don't know, Luke is my editor. Luke, if you're watching this, can you please pull up a picture of the Astro World performance? Can you pull up a picture of the big skull that was the entryway for the people to enter the festival? Could you also pull up a picture of Travis Scott's shirt? Okay, you're going to see like a person who's blue who walks through a doorway and then turns into basically like a little demon. And then also do me a favor and pull up a picture of the flames with the mountains. So there should be the performance stage, which has mountains, and there's like 8 different flames, 4 on each side that are shooting out. All right, so go ahead and post that for me, Luke. And those of you that are here now, you can take a look at these images and you can sort of see some of the ritualistic symbolism that is taking place. Also, if you don't mind, Luke, can you please post pictures of some of the flyers, or some of the digital flyers, I should say, that were being promoted to the masses leading up to the performance. So there was a lot of occult symbolism when it came to Travis Scott and the promotion of his Astro World. So I remember there was like the pan with the 2 hands and the eyes at the palm of the hands and things in that nature. So just go ahead and post that so that you as the viewers can really observe some of this ritualistic occult symbolism that was a part of this performance. Okay? So going into it, so I'm going to break this stuff down step by step. And once again, I do want you to know that this is a very common pattern. And these are very common processes that people in positions of high-level influence often utilize with their arts or with their performances, with their form of entertainment. And I'm going to go into explaining why this is from an actual practical standpoint. And I'm going to literally connect everything back to the bigger picture as well, so that you fully understand why these things happen in our universe. Because I know that the first thing that you might jump to when you hear me talking about Astroworld is Travis Scott is evil, he's a Satanist, that was totally evil what he did and all those things. And in reality, as much as it can be hard to understand, there is no evil in our universe. Everything has a reason. Everything has a purpose. Nothing that happens for no reason. There are no mistakes in our universe. Okay, so everything that happens literally happens for a reason, and everything has an energetic resonance. Cause and effect is always at play in our universe. So even with the Astro World performance, I know it was a chaotic experience. I know there was people that lost their lives. I know that it was a tough time for a lot of people. At the end of the day, it still is not evil. It is an evolutionary experience that unfolded in a very destructive way, and it played a significant role in many people's lives. It shifted many people's lives actually in a healthy position or in a healthy way to learn from the experience. Whereas for other people, it was a little bit more intense. It was very destructive. Whereas some people actually lost their lives, unfortunately, in that experience. But that's what happened. And at the end of the day, there's no judgment over that. It is what it is. This is how life functions. And truly, the soul and the spirit moves on. Okay, it's not the end of the world. When someone dies, when someone loses their life, I know it's traumatic. I know there's a lot of tough emotions there. It's not something fun to experience. But the soul and the spirit is immortal. It lives on. It transitions. Okay, so from the human lens, it's very easy for us to think these things are evil and to write them off as evil when they happen, especially if we don't understand it, when in reality, there's so much more to our universe than what we could even comprehend. And all we really do need to know is that nothing happens for no reason. All right, so with that being said, so let me take you through some of the steps of what's going on with the Astro World Travis Scott ritual. So what's happening is that Travis Scott is starting to learn about some of the influence and some of the power of real occult knowledge and occult sciences, basically. So I have no doubt in my mind that Travis Scott is an occultist. I have no doubt in my mind that someone is mentoring him or someone is guiding him to better learn on what the occult's about, or maybe he's just simply passionate about it and he probably studies on his own time. I don't know. I'm sure it's a mix of both. But there's no doubt in my mind that he doesn't know what he's doing, in the sense of he's not aware of, rituals and how to cause energetic shifts in people's unconscious using symbolism. I know he does know how to do that, because everything that's set up in that Astro festival or that Astral World performance is very ritualistic in nature, and it's directly designed to trigger certain parts of the unconscious, certain aspects of the nervous system to produce certain emotional states. Let's just put it that way, which then leads to mindset shifts and actual manifestations. So here's the deal. So Travis Scott is coming from the space of being aware that what he's about to do in regards to his performance is about to be, let's put it this way, destructive in nature. He knows what he's about to do is going to bring out a part of his audience that they've been repressing for a very long time. So let's look at some of these symbols. So the entry point to the astral world is the skeleton head. Okay, the skeleton head, that is like the death symbol. And the death symbol in the occult is always referred to as energy that is tending to change. So death energy really is energy that's in change. It's in transference. If you literally want to think about it in the most practical terms, it's like when something dies, the soul and the spirit within that thing transition onwards. So death energy doesn't always have to mean we're physically dying, though. Death energy could be as simple as I'm dying to an old belief. I'm dying to an old state of being. I'm dying to a relationship that I was attached to. These are all different forms of producing that same type of death energy, which then causes energy tending to change. So it's like when we die to, let's say, a toxic relationship, and we actually let go of it and allow that death energy to come through, it shifts us into a different direction in life. And we get to decide what that direction is based on our intention. So there's always potential when there's death energy. So entering into this performance with the skull, the head of a skull, is symbolizing several different things. One, it's a head, right? So it's not like a full body skeleton. It's not like a leg. It's not like a torso. It's not an arm. It's a head, right? So what resides within the head? Our brain, okay? This is how we think. This is where our mindset is formed. This is where a large portion of our functioning takes place, at the epicenter of the brain. And then we have the totality of our nervous system. So the brain and the mind is definitely going to be more so of that masculine type of energy, that thinking type of energy, whereas the nervous system and the body is more so of that feminine energy, that emotional energy. All right, and both of them have to work together. They have to interact with each other in order to find harmony within the self. So the fact that we have the skull head is showing that there is death energy as the person is entering into the concert or entering into the festival. They are actively walking through the death energy, and this is operating on the participant on an unconscious and a subconscious level. So this is literally how rituals function. They are basically sacred symbols that on a visceral, primal level, we actually understand what they mean. But in a societal sense, on a societal indoctrinated level, we don't know what they mean, but they still affect us on that primal level. So they still come through the unconscious and they still come through the subconscious. So every single person that walks through that skeleton head is being influenced by several different symbols. One, first and foremost, is the death energy. So energy is tending to change as every single person walks through. And that creates the energy of death, where there has to be letting go. Okay, so this is like a subconscious, unconscious influence that starts coming up to the surface for the participant walking into the concert. They're having to let go more. That is literally what that ritualistic symbolism starts to process within the person. Now, specifically, it's the head. So this is the part of our, once again, active thinking, our mindsets, our belief systems. So we're dying to this belief system, or we're having to die to certain beliefs, mindsets, and certain ways of thinking as we're walking into this concert, all based on that skull head with the mouth open that they're walking into. All right, so this is actually setting the stage for the participant to be more so in their feminine energy, to actually be more tuned into their body, their nervous system, and potentially tuning into their primal instincts, which we all have. At the end of the day, as human beings, we are all animals as well, with very primal instincts that need to express themselves. So that's setting the stage for the participant to get into that state. Now, when you look at the shirt that Travis Scott is wearing, this becomes very symbolic. You can actually see there's a person that's walking through a doorway. They're starting off as a blue person, then they walk through a doorway, and then they're turning into a red demon. Okay, so this is symbolic of what's taking place when people are entering into the festival. They're going from like their societal self, where they have to wear a mask, they have to go to their jobs, they have to interact with their families, they have to be whoever it is that they have to be in society, right? It's like most people are wearing a mask. Whereas now, as they're entering into this skull head, they're initiating on an unconscious level the ability to be more in tune with their primal nature. So they're accessing that inner beast, if you will, that inner demon. Okay, really what a demon is, what people refer to as demons in our modern times or our mass collective, is literally trauma and repressed negative emotions that are in our bodies. So the trauma is what causes the repressed negative emotions to be in our nervous system, and people in our modern times call the negative repressed emotions demons. So when you're entering into the festival through the Death Skull, we're now stepping into a more primal and actually authentic self-expression where we can start bringing out some of these repressed emotions that are stored in our nervous systems, and we express that. And specifically in this environment that Travis Scott is creating, he's creating a very animalistic environment. So it's obviously not the safest environment. It's actually a dangerous environment. So it's creating an environment where people are having an ability to express these primal instincts and these primal urges, but there's no safety and there's no foundation and there's no boundaries. So this is allowing the person to access their inner beast, but the person doesn't have the education or the guidance to know how to channel that in a healthy way. So you get a bunch of people that are in this concert that are going through this ritual, and they are symbolically stepping through that doorway, opening up this primal instinct within their body because it's being channeled through the unconscious, subconscious, based on the symbolism that's taking place with the whole concert and everything that's structured around it. And now everyone's expressing these primal urges, these primal instincts, to the point where it's creating a very animalistic environment to the degree that people are actually dying in the crowd, and people are just continuing to express these animal urges even though someone's dying. So there's no safety there, there's no foundation, and there's no one guiding the process. And who's the leader of the ritual? Who's the leader of the experience? It's Travis Scott, and he's not guiding anyone because he's in the role of being an entertainer. So he's not in the role of being a teacher, but he's using occult sciences to trigger these primal urges within his fans and within his viewers. So that sets the stage for a disaster. It really does set the stage for a dystopia, right? And ultimately, what's actually happening on a deeper occult level is that the ritual that's taking place when people are entering into this concert is they're actually walking into the clip-off. So I've discussed this before, but the clip-off is literally, it's the roots of the tree of life. So we have the Sephiroth, and then we have the clip-off. And you could think of this more so as like the negative side of spiritual self-development, where this is more so of the positive side of spiritual self-development. And both of these experiences operate together, because you cannot have the positive without the negative. So they're coexisting together, and it's all a part of one universal tree. It's simply the difference between the fruits and the branches and the leaves, and then the roots of the tree being the clip-off. All right, so what Travis Scott is doing with all this symbolism is he's actually bringing his viewers, his audience, into the clip-offic realm with all that demonic symbolism, which is symbolism that heightens the awareness to go into these portions of the self, the clip-offic portions of the self, literally the demonic portions of the self, which we all have. All right, so there's a principle within the occult that's called as within, as without, as above, so below. We're all connected. There is no thing that is separate from the self. Everything comes together into that one all, or into that source. Some people call this energy God, right? There is a difference between angelic and demonic energies, but all of us carry both of these frequencies inside of our bodies. We both have angelic qualities and we have demonic qualities. Demonic, I like to refer to more so as the sort of, in a way, destructive qualities, self-interest qualities, whereas the angelic is a little bit more creative and a little bit more extending outwards. Okay? But to have a balance between both of these within our bodies is ultimately what we're looking for and what we're looking to have. And balance doesn't necessarily just mean 50-50%. The balance can change depending on the person and depending on their soul resonance. So someone may have more of an energetic resonance to demonic than they do to the ratio of their angelic energies, whereas for another person, it might be in reverse. They have more resonance with angelic than they do demonic. But ultimately, we carry both in our bodies. So with that being said, Travis Scott is designing this entire Astro World Festival to be very demonic in nature. It's like enhancing that demonic energy within the environment that is directly going to trigger those exact demonic energies within the self, which connects to these primal urges that we have to express basically our animal instincts, but it's also connected to repressed negative emotions that we've stored in our body, our nervous system, from our unhealed traumas. So what's happening is the person is walking into this ritual that Travis Scott has designed, and it's entering them on a spiritual level. Remember, we're looking at a DNA strand here. So it's taking this person and their energetic makeup and their cellular structure, their DNA and their genetic code through a process, an alchemical process, where it's bringing them into these portions of their own cellular structure, of their own being, of their own genetic code, of their own DNA, of their own energy. And these portions of the self literally are associated with repressed negative energies. And these are the energies that are absolutely connected to the trauma that we go through in our life. Most of the times it's when we're a young age, and it's connected to our parents. So what's happening is there's an environment now with Travis Scott being an entertainer who's triggering these negative parts of the self to start coming out, and is creating an environment where people can actually start expressing this energy, but there is no education and there's no guidance on how to direct that expression in a healthy way, or education to tell the audience, this is what's taking place, and this is what you need to know about it, and this is how it's happening. So it's all operating on the unconscious and the subconscious of the person entering into the festival. And then these urges just start coming through, and they start coming through in a very uncontrolled manner. So it sets the stage, because no one's guiding the process, it sets the stage for complete chaos to unfold, to the extent where people are literally stepping on other people and strangling them under their feet without having the human urge to realize, wait a minute, I'm killing another person. They literally can't breathe. Let me make sure I snap out of this and help the person up. So what it's done in this ritual is it's designed the audience to be brought into this klebothic realm within themselves, because this is not separate from the self, and it takes them through all these different energetic experiences, or energy, we could almost say centers within the body, that are connected to different portions of trauma that the person has been through in their life, that the person has been through in their past. And as this is starting to be accessed unconsciously and subconsciously, the person becomes more animalistic in nature, because they need to express that anger and that fear and that sadness, and it needs to come out in some way. And ultimately, expressing the energy anyway is important, and it's going to be healthier than repressing it. But it can be dangerous when you're in an environment of thousands upon thousands of people in a small enclosure that are all going through this ritualistic influencing, and are now expressing these deep-rooted traumas, negative repressed energies that they've been holding in their body for probably years on end, and it's needing to come out. So you have a bunch of animalistic humans that are expressing this deep-seated hatred, fear, anger, sadness, confusion that's in their body, and it's just coming out in the form of them being in the show and being in the moment and letting that energy out, right? So this is what this did, Kabbalistically speaking. It brought the person into the clip-off so that they could start expressing their primal urges. That's what Travis Scott set the festival up to do. And this is something that is always going to attract a lot of people in general. This is going to be like something that is great for selling tickets and just great for being a celebrity in general, because when you're allowing your viewers or your audience to access some of these primal urges that they've been repressing for years, then there's a really good feeling that comes with that. And there's just this emotional connection that the person creates between them and the artist, or them and the entertainer, because they realize that the entertainer gave them a space to start expressing these animal urges. So that is one of the reasons why Travis Scott set his festival up in that way, because he knows deep down on an occult level, this is what this type of satanic, dark magic, ritualistic symbolism is triggering. So this is why we see that blue person walking through the door and then turning into a demon. It's allowing the person to put down the barriers of control, put down the barriers of judgment, put down the barriers of shaming the self, and just be who you are with all this stuff that needs to come out, and just letting it out. So that's one of the reasons why, as I said, a lot of these artists, not just Travis Scott, uses this black magic, satanic, ritualistic symbolism. It's to open up these cellular functions and these spiritual doorways, energetic centers within the body, so that the person can start experiencing what they've been repressing. But this becomes very dangerous, as we clearly saw with the festival, where there was literally, I think it was somewhere around 8 people that lost their life. One of them was even a kid. Okay, people died in that process because this type of work is very deep work, and it's work that you need to have the right foundation in order to process properly. And Travis Scott is aware of that. On a deep level, he knows that this is really intense. This is really primal, ancient technology, And if you trigger it on someone who doesn't have the capacity to process those energies in a healthy way, it's going to cause more harm than it does good. So obviously, Travis Scott is not in the position of being a spiritual teacher or being a self-development teacher. He's just an entertainer. So he's doing what he does as an entertainer, what a lot of entertainers do, and they trigger these very deep transformative processes within the DNA and the cellular structures and the energy field of the fans or of the viewers, but doesn't give them the education, doesn't give them the guidance on how to navigate it. So this is the other reason why these artists, or Travis Scott as an example, does this type of symbolism and ritualistic technology, is because when you bring someone through this process, or when you get their soul to resonate with the clip-off and then go into it, basically initiate into it, that's literally what he's doing. He's getting the soul of his viewers to resonate with the demonic symbolism, which connects them to the clip-off, and then he's taking them through ritualistic processes, through all the symbolism that he's designed to actually enter into the clip-off, as within, as without, as without, as within. That ritualistic symbolism that's a part of the festival can trigger internal growth processes, alchemical processes, transformative processes. And he's taking them in, he's walking them in the door to the clip-off, but then he's not giving them a guide to navigate it in a healthy way to make sure that they can get success through the process. And as I was saying, the reason why he's doing that is simply because there's a principle within black magic and within occultism, specifically the darker aspects of occultism, that a lot of people don't really understand. And this is definitely something that a real black magician understands and really has to understand in order to be a professional black magician. And the truth is that when you break someone's artificial self down using your ritualistic means, or using your spiritual means, or your energetic means, so that could be like doing what Travis Scott is doing, that could be using psychic warfare on someone, which is black magic, or cursing someone. That could be as simple as just setting an intention for someone to be destroyed. When you're using black magic or destructive dark energy in that way, and you're setting it towards destroying the part of the person that is artificial to who they really are. So remember what I always say, when we go through our traumas at a young age, what happens is we store the emotion of the trauma in our nervous system, and we separate from our true self in order to survive the experience. So when we separate from the true self, this is the birth of the artificial self. This is us falling into a family role to exist within a toxic environment so that we can survive. When in reality, it's like we're not being our true self. And every time we try to express authentically, we get shunned, or we get put down, or we get hurt, or our parents don't love us anymore. So we would rather be our artificial self that gets the love from our parents than our true self that gets hurt. All right. So the problem is that we oftentimes stay identified with this artificial personality or this artificial self, and we carry that into adulthood. So taking it back to what I'm talking about with black magic, professional black magic is used on the artificial self of the human being. So I'm directing dark energy towards this part of a human being that is actually not authentic to who they truly are. And this is the actual purpose and the professional way to use dark energy on another person. This can actually set the stage for that person to start knowing their true self. This can actually set them up on a track in life where they start actually making healthier decisions, rather than just staying stuck to this artificial personality and continuing to cycle in those negative habits and patterns that are connected to it based on repressed negative emotions from the trauma. So hopefully, as you're listening to this, you're able to kind of follow what it is that I'm saying. I know it can be a little bit hard to understand. So definitely, if you need to, rewind the video a little bit and re-listen to this so that you fully, integrate what it is that I'm talking about. Because there are some deep mysteries that I'm explaining right now and some deep truths about how our universe functions in connection with dark energy and black magic. So the reason why Travis Scott is also bringing souls into the clip-off is because naturally, when you bring a soul into the clip-off, this is where they have to start the process of some of the deepest level integration of repressed negative emotions, which is directly followed by dissolution of the artificial self. So in truth, in its most purest intention, Travis Scott is bringing people to this beautiful opportunity to start working with the ultimate depths of their unconscious to set the stage for them to start processing their repressed emotions from their trauma so that they can integrate them and become their true self. That would be the perfect world or the perfect picture based on what Travis Scott is doing. But that is not what happened, and that truly wasn't the full intention of why Travis Scott set everything up the way he did. As I said earlier, Travis Scott is not a spiritual teacher. He's not a soul guide. So he's not educating the people to understand what's happening, and he's not guiding them through the process. He's just setting the stage for it, bringing the souls to resonance with it, and then letting it happen the way it's going to happen. And there are some consequences for that on Travis Scott's end because, with great power comes great responsibility. And I'm sure he learned this. And the laws of cause and effect, which is called karma, are always going to be at play in our universe. So there is real karma that Travis Scott received from what he did. And we all observe that mass collectively. He literally got shamed by the masses for a period of time. And that, you may not think that that's a big deal. You may not think that that really affects a famous person or a celebrity, but it really does have a big impact no matter who you are. When the mass collective directs that amount of negative energy towards you, even if it's in the situation of what Travis Scott did, where he created a performance and, it was just really unlawful and it was just really chaotic and people lost their lives. Even though Travis Scott kind of retreated for a little bit, and a lot of people may think, oh, he didn't even learn his lesson. It wasn't that big of a deal. He just disappeared for a year and then came back and now he has an album. Everyone loves him again. In reality, that's always going to affect someone, no matter who you are. If you're a celebrity, if you're the president of the planet, of the world, whoever you are, a regular person, when that amount of negative energy is directed towards you, it's always going to affect you. It's going to influence you. And that was his karma. So he did receive karma for that. But there are also aspects to what he did that actually caused a lot of people's lives to transform in a beneficial way. And I'll go into that in a second. But so one of the other reasons why as black magicians, we utilize this dark magic or this dark energy technology is because we are very conscious that when we direct destructive energy towards an artificial self of a person, we are actually setting that person up for an opportunity to better know their true self. And the way that the cosmic law functions behind that is we get power and we get benefits for destroying the artificial awareness of the person. So it's as we destroy the artificial identity of a person, there was a lot of energy that was built up into that artificial identity. And if we're the ones that destroy it, we basically break it down, we turn it into something that goes from a form to being formless, and in that formless state, it returns back to its source that made it formless again. So we're basically breaking down that form of an artificial self and it becomes formless, it disillusions, and then it travels back to the source of what destroyed it, which is, in this case, the black magician who directed the conscious dark energy towards it. And we get the energy, so whatever energy that was placed inside of that artificial self, however much time and energy and effort went into it to build it up, all of that comes back to us, and then we get to sort of use that energy however we want based on how we're directing it, most oftentimes with our intention. Okay, so we can like redirect that energy by setting an intention of, this is what I want this to go into. I want to increase my business. I want to increase my finances. I want to increase my self-awareness. I want to better integrate my true self. I want more sex in my life. I want a better relationship. I want to live somewhere nice. However you want to redirect it. So this is something that so many people actually don't understand, but it really is a component, and it's also connected to cosmic law. It's like there has to be forces on this earth that challenge the artificial self. Otherwise, there would just be so much nonsense on our planets, and there wouldn't be a proper balance between freedom and restriction. There wouldn't be a proper balance between expression and contraction, if you will, expansion and contraction. So as black magicians, this is one of our roles that we get to play uniquely. And we understand this as real black magicians that actually understand what we're doing. And there is responsibility that comes with that, because this is power that we're using. It's real power to have the ability to say, I see you're acting out of repressed emotions based on your trauma, and I see that this version of yourself that you've created and you've identified with is actually causing harm in your life, and it's also affecting me in a negative way. I don't like that. So I have the power to know how to utilize ritual or know how to utilize movement of energy to literally break down this part of that person so that they cannot attach to it anymore. I can literally destroy it, which forces them to let go and forces them to start processing whatever it was that they were running away from in the first place. And that was the reason why they created that identity. Because remember, it's all based on those repressed emotions, which most oftentimes is like fear, sadness, and anger. So the person has to start feeling those to process them. And that sets that stage for that sets the stage for them to move in a healthier direction. So as a conscious black magician with the responsibility and that power, we're directing it in that way, knowing we're acting out of a state of love for the other person, but also knowing we're also acting out of a state of love for ourselves by getting the energy and the power that comes from it as well. So the reason why I say all this and I educate you in this way, just to let you know why this is one of the reasons why these A-list celebrities and why these entertainment artists and actors or whoever it is that's doing this type of work and using these types of rituals and using this type of symbolism, this is also why they're using it. This is actually a large driving force of the intention of why they're using this clipothic symbolism. A large portion is they're using it to better love themselves by increasing their power. Okay, so a lot of them don't give a shit about educating you once they've brought you into the clip-off. A lot of them don't give a shit about walking you through and giving you the perspectives you need to have to navigate it so that you don't fuck yourself up. They're just concerned about destroying your artificial self, putting you in a position where you're now feeling some of the deepest repressed emotions that you have stored in your body and leaving you there to pretty much figure it out by yourself. And in that process, they're getting a lot of wealth, they're getting a lot of money, they're doing whatever they want with that energy as they're breaking down people's artificial self. But remember what I just said, cause and effect are always at play within our universe, and karma is very real. So a lot of these A-list celebrities that are using the technology and are realizing they're getting results by doing it, and they keep doing it over and over, a lot of them end up getting karma from it. They end up getting the effect to their cause, where, guess what? Think about how many people that they've led down that path and how many people that truly had good intentions ended up further traumatizing themselves because they simply just didn't have the capacity to process that level of unconscious self-development. So when you set a soul up to be further traumatized that really had good intentions the whole time, then there is energetic karma that goes back to the source that caused that. And if the intention of the artist or the celebrity was just greed and was just, I just want to make money, I just want the power for myself, then it does set the stage for them to be at a more likelihood risk for receiving that karma. So that's why a lot of the times there are A-list celebrities that do what they do for a very long time, using these rituals over and over again. And then sometimes later down the road, they have mental breakdowns. Like out of nowhere, it's like they just go through this midlife crisis, complete mental breakdown. Their life just kind of goes to shit for a little bit, and they recalibrate. They recalibrate who they are as a person. They literally realize, like, what am I doing? Like, why am I operating out of this space where I'm just literally only hurting people for my benefits? And yes, some people grow from it. It's not everyone that's getting hurt. It's not everyone that's getting harmed, but it's just all about the intention in the space that it's coming from. And I mean, the best visualization that I can really give to kind of walk you through this is like, if you think about it, like if you were diagnosed with like a really severe cancer and you had a week left to live, what matters in that time? Like, I really want you to think about that. You've just been diagnosed with a serious cancer. You have 1 week to live. There's no other, you're not going to live 1 week. What matters in that moment? Does it matter about you getting on a stage and pushing out all this demonic symbolism and bringing people into the clip-off just so that you can get money from them? Just so that you can get power from destroying their artificial self? Does that matter? Or do you need love in that moment? Do you need family that can actually connect with you? Do you need friends that actually care about you and love you? Do you need to start loving yourself in that moment? Do you feel good about the life that you just lived? Do you feel good that you brought people's souls into the clip-off and didn't give them guidance or education to navigate it? Right? These are the things that start mattering when life gets serious. And we all hit that phase at some point in our life because we're not immortal. We're going to die at some points. So a lot of times, this is why these celebrities go through these breakdowns and then these midlife crises, is because they are receiving the karma from what they've been doing. But as I said, on the other end of that same token, it actually does. The reason why they can do it for so long is because it actually does play its evolutionary role for humanity. Remember, like, when souls, because like we're all dealing with our own tree of life. As I keep telling all of us, we are all the same universal tree. We have a Sephiroth within us and we have a Clip-Off within us at the same time. We have the tree with the leaves and the fruits, and we have the roots. And we're always working with these different energies within ourselves, but our natural state is to know what we have the capacity to process and to naturally work with those energies that we have the ability to process. But when we start getting mentally attached to certain celebrities and certain idols and certain people that start taking us through these deep, sacred, occult, unconscious rituals that are strategically designed to bring out some of the deepest levels of repressed emotion in our body to then bring them to the surface, that becomes so much to process that most of us are not prepared for. Most of us don't have that underlying foundation or safety net to know how to handle those energies. And then it sets the stage for us to further hurt ourselves and further traumatize ourselves and gets even more stuck in our, you could almost say, artificial self. So it's just this weird dynamic that takes place. And for some people, it brings them into that clip-off space within themselves, and it causes the disillusion to their ego, and they have to start self-reflecting and feeling some of those repressed emotions. And it actually becomes a very holistic and a very healthy experience. So the person actually gains a lot from it, and they start to know themselves a lot more. Even though it's very uncomfortable to go through, it ultimately becomes something that works for them, that works with them, something that they feel good about in the long run because they went through the experience and it became like a lesson, or it became just in general an experience that helped them become more aware of their true self. So it's not just that this whole Travis Scott thing was all evil, satanic, demonic, and it's bringing souls into the clip-off and further traumatizing them. I would say there's probably a healthy balance going on there where some of them are so further traumatized that they're not going to make healthy progress, and they're going to kind of stay in that state for a period of time. Whereas the other half, I'm sure, use that whole experience as a very profound life lesson and are now reflecting much deeper than what they ever have before, and used it as a stepping stone to walk the path of where they're supposed to be headed. So this is why truly there's no evil in our universe. Like, everything that happens for a reason. And ultimately, the people that do get affected by it to the extent where they don't know how to navigate it and it becomes too much for them to process, at an extent, that person's eventually going to crack, and they're going to have to let go of the artificial self anyways. And they're going to have to be open to a new direction or open to a new chapter. So when we talk about black magic and dark energy and chaos, these things are designed to set us up in the space of life where we can grow and where we can learn. Like, it's meant for us. The universe operates off of love only. All right, so everything is in our interest. It's in our benefit. But that doesn't mean that we don't experience pain, suffering, anger, sadness, and fear. Like, these are natural emotions we have to process and we have to feel as we integrate what we need to integrate. And as we become more integrated, we're aligning more with the true self, and we're starting to feel better because we're not repressing that energy anymore. So we're starting to feel better, and then we create realities that are very beautiful. Because once again, as within, as without. So me breaking this down is really to explain why there's a lot of celebrities and entertainers that use this technology. A lot of them are using it coming from the space of understanding what it generates for them, which is power. But at the same time, a lot of them are unaware that there is karma that comes from that, because it's very true that with great power comes great responsibility. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I'm someone that uses this technology too. Okay, I'm someone that's used this on many people, and I have guided many souls into the clip-off, and some of them were successful, whereas others didn't know how to navigate it and ended up hurting themselves. And ultimately, I didn't understand how to be the guide that I needed to be in order to make sure that the people I'm leading into the clip-off are able to navigate it and use it as something to better know their true self. So I've had to experience some of the karma that comes from that using the technology myself. And when you come from that right space of realizing, all right, I can lead people into the clip-off, but I know that as I'm leading them into the clip-off, I'm also giving them the proper education, and I'm giving them the proper guidance that they need to know what they're working with and to be able to use it to their advantage. Because ultimately, the clip-othic tree is a very helpful, important aspect of the self to understand. There's nothing evil about the clip-off. It's literally the most important part, I would say, of our self that we need to process and we need to get back in touch with. But with that, we really want to have the right education, and we really want to have a guide to create that proper foundation. And if I teach from that space, and I know that's what my true intention is, then I'm utilizing responsibility with my power to guide souls into this work. And I've had to learn from firsthand experience, because I was a soul that went into the clip-off without the exact education, the exact guidance that I wish I had. And I went through a lot of unnecessary pain and suffering in that process. So I've been that person to know firsthand what it's like. And I've also been the person that has been a guide for people that are getting into this work, and am helping them develop a proper foundation with a security net, so that when it gets intense and when it starts to get overwhelming, they can always rely on their foundation and fall back into that security net and know they're going to be okay, and then continue progressing because they have an expanded capacity. All right, so this is just something that comes with time. It's something that comes with experience, and overall, it's a certain level of wisdom to know what I'm explaining now. And there is real wisdom that needs to be applied when you're a black magician, just as if you're not a black magician. You know, if you're anyone that's in self-development or anyone that's in a spiritual teacher role, no matter what you classify yourself as or no matter what you resonate with, you're always going to have to recognize there's responsibility as a teacher. And this is, once again, one of those things that comes with being a teacher that you will have to learn within time. And hopefully me breaking this down kind of gives you some extra perspective on what's going on in our modern times. This has been going on for some time as well, not just our modern times. It's been going on for several years now, a while, you know, since TV and music videos and all that other stuff. So to have a better perspective of what's happening, to kind of understand the space that the entertainer is coming from, and to also understanding where the entertainer's at spiritually. Because a lot of them, they have the knowledge and they're utilizing it because they have a lot of influence, but they don't necessarily have the education to know that there needs to be responsibility with that power. And they end up getting the backlash from that. And obviously, if they had the education, they probably wouldn't do it in the first place. But that's a part of their learning process. It is what it is. You know, had I had that much influence, had I been in that position of being an entertainer or an artist like that, I would have probably did the exact same thing. All right. But I did mine in a different way, you know? So that is like what I really wanted to cover there. And I also wanted to cover some of what basically like what real black magic looks like and how to really use dark energy intentionally, but coming from a space of, honestly speaking, love, coming from a space of knowing you're offering value to the person by breaking down their artificial self. And, you know, it's just something you really want to be aware of is like, what is the intention of why you're using it? So it's like if someone's like really crossing a boundary with me and they're causing significant problems in my life and it's really annoying and it's frustrating me and I'm getting angry and whatever it is, my intention is to stop that happening to me. And my intention is also going to be coming from a space of, you know, why is this person acting in this way? And am I able to observe that this is not their true behavior? Am I able to observe that this is not who they truly are and they're just acting out of their true self, coming at me in this certain way? So I can use that intention of knowing this is not who they truly are, so I'm going to break that down in them so they stop affecting me in this way that frustrates me or makes me feel like annoyed and things in that nature. And if I'm coming from that intention where I know what I'm doing, and now I also know it's going to set the stage for that person to better know their true self because they're not going to have that artificial identity to attach to anymore, then that ultimately is a pure intention. Now, if someone's just upsetting me and I don't fully understand myself enough to know why I'm upset, and I don't fully understand the emotions I'm feeling, where maybe I'm coming from a space of being greedy, or maybe I'm coming from a space of being jealous, and then I start using black magic on someone just because they make me feel not good, but I don't even know why. I can't really feel into that. Then I may be using this black magic on someone that's just triggering some sort of repressed emotion in me that I haven't healed, that is something just based on me acting outside of my true self. So maybe I'm not who I truly am, coming from a space of being jealous that this person is making me aware that I'm not being my true self. And if I'm using black magic from that space, then I'm going to get karma from that. And ultimately, then the black magic would have played its role by destroying my ego or destroying my artificial identity. But it'd probably leave me in a space where I'm a little bit confused. Like, I use magic on this person, but now I'm feeling it. My life's going to shit. What's happening here? Which happens to a lot of people, but that's besides the point. So there is nuance to black magic. It is not just evil. Do not believe people when they say black magic's evil, Satanism's evil. It's not. It has its role. There are a lot of people that use it without responsibility, but guess what? There's a lot of people you've never heard of and that you don't know that are using it responsibly. And the people that are at the highest levels within society or on the planet that are black magicians, you can bet your fucking ass they are using it responsibly. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the positions they are. All right? Yin to the yang. Everything comes together. All right? Everything works together. So that's it. I'm going to wrap it up here. If you enjoyed this video, I know this is a little bit of a different topic that I haven't really touched on in a while. This was just something that I felt like talking about. It kind of was just there. So I decided I would make a video on it. If you enjoyed this, hit the thumbs up. Come down in the comment section and let me know if you learned something from this video. Let me know if you resonated with what I'm talking about. Let me know if you see some of these symbols. Let me know if you're connecting to what it is that I'm actually saying. If there's like resonance there, if you're noticing what I'm talking about. And go ahead, let me know if you're completely confused or if you don't agree with me. You know, I'm completely open to hear what you have to say. I like reading through all the different comments, but overall, I just want to know your honest feedback on how you receive this content, because ultimately I know where I'm coming from as I make this. I'm coming from a very grounded place, and I've worked with these ideas for a very long time, and I've personally experienced them. So it's coming from that place for me, but I want to know how it's being received by you as the listener. So don't be shy, go in that comment section and let me know. Now also hit the notification bell, get notified whenever I post content. You do not want to be missing out. Trust me, get notified when I post. Now also come down here and hit the subscribe button. By subscribing, you are further linking into my content. There really is an energetic component that goes behind that. You can further connect to the energetic information that I'm relaying across this camera screen right now to you. There's an energetic transfer between me and you every time you tune into my content. If you want to get more out of it, subscribe to my channel. We'll leave that there. Now, you have my full permission. If you know anyone that would gain value from listening to this video, go ahead and copy and paste the link. Send it to them. Send it to anyone that comes to mind. If I said that and then somebody popped in your mind, send the video to them. Okay, you have my full permission. My intention is to spread this content like a wildfire. Social media platforms, post it on your social medias, and even let me know. Post this content on your social medias and then tag me on Instagram and let me know you're doing it. I would love to see that, and I might even send you a message or something. I don't know, but that would be super interesting. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to now take your awareness to one of the most important links within the entire YouTube description itself. If you go down in that first link at the top, you cannot miss it. That is the Patreon. On the Patreon, I have a group of occult videos that at this point is almost like a secondary YouTube channel. If you're someone who's been watching my channel and you've been gaining a lot of value from what it is that I'm teaching, almost to the point where you're like binge watching my videos one after another, you need to join the Patreon if you're not already a part of it. There is an entire host of occult knowledge that I can guarantee you've probably never heard anywhere else. All the way down from advanced, intermediate, all the way down to just the basic roots of what you need to know about the occult in general. All of that's on the Patreon, and I have content that revolves around the practical, fundamental awareness when I'm talking about foundational stuff, creating that underlying safety net. Some of my newer content is geared towards understanding what that's all about, which is super important. So all the content is more advanced and more personal than what you're getting right here, and it's exclusive to the Patreon. Check it out. Tier number 3 and 4 gives you entry into what is called the Universe B Vampire Service. This is a ritual that's performed on the 29th of every single month that has one. It's designed to completely change your energetic structure to be more so Universe B dominance. And what that means is your energy spin, the spin to your energy field, starts going counterclockwise rather than clockwise. Most people have a clockwise spin, which tends to be more giving, tends to be a little bit more radiant, like an outwards push almost. Whereas the counterclockwise tends to go in more, tends to be more internalized. So if you've been someone that's been giving your love away and neglecting yourself in the process, maybe you're like a doormat and people are stepping all over you, this sets the stage for you to start loving yourself again and to start claiming your power back. It sets the stage for you to be a lot more receptive to your unconscious, subconscious mind and to be able to start feeling some of those repressed emotions that are in your nervous system to process them in a healthy way. This ritual is also very beneficial for people that have been highly affected by religious trauma or religious programming, because it sets the stage to start undoing these things so that the person is no longer viewing the world in such dualistic terms, but they actually see the symbolism for what it actually means. So first of all, you'd be surprised about how many people have religious programming embedded within their unconscious. Most people, I think a lot of people know they do, but there's a lot of people that think they don't, but they actually do. And when you start seeing dark energy or when you start seeing chaos in the environment, rather than seeing it as evil or wrong or bad, you actually start seeing it for what it actually is, which starts the transmutation process through observation and through awareness to turn that into exactly what it is for yourself: evolutionary power and potential. All right, so all of this takes place with the vampire ritual. If you want to take advantage of it, once again, it's tier number 3 or tier number 4. Now you also are gaining, see, this is like such a powerful service that I offer to anyone who gets it. There's so much that's included with this for literally such a cheap price every single month. Like, it's subscription based for a reason, so that if you want to keep partaking in the ritualistic effects of it every single month, you have to stay subscribed. But literally for everything that's offered for $50 a month at the entry point, it's unbelievable how much opportunity there is for a massive shift to take place inside of your body to literally change your life. And I have countless people that have reached out to me that have received the vampire ritual. Most of the members of the Patreon are already a part of it, but I have countless people that have reached out to me and let me know personally their lives have shifted drastically, funny enough, ever since they got the ritual. Very interesting. All right. So if that's something you resonate, check it out. As I was saying though, you also get placed inside of my Atlantean crystal grid. So you literally basically step into this created matrix that I've designed that puts a protective barrier around your energy field to protect you from radioactive frequencies or frequencies that are 5G in nature, inorganic energies. It sets the stage for you to start the emotional integrations, sets the stage for you to start getting more in tune with your feminine energy, the ability to feel, the ability to be more of an observer and be aware of the unconscious, be aware of the mind and how the nature of the mind operates. All right, so it sets the stage for those things, and it's all grounded within the true self and the connection to the all, the connection to all things, the connection to the source. Now, there's a little torus field that I have constantly projecting frequencies based on the certain type of therapy that I choose that is also inside of this crystal grid projecting 24/7. So there's many different types of therapies that I can choose from, all the way down to anti-aging, to luck and abundance, to cellular regeneration, sexual enhancement, you name it. And these are all different therapies that I'm going to be switching between every single month for everyone that is inside of this crystal matrix. And this matrix is a reflection of what's actually taking place inside of the person's body. So it really does start changing certain cellular functions, DNA expressions, genetic expressions, and all different types of things of that nature, which affects the energy field. So if this is something you want to take advantage of, once again, all of this to be tier number 3 or 4 of the Patreon. I'm going to leave it there. First link below. Now we're going to go into the second link below. This is a very important link to look at. This is where you can book a mentorship with me. So everything that I've been discussing about the importance of creating a foundation and a safety net for when you're getting into your self-development or deeper levels of spiritual self-development, this is exactly what I walk you through one-on-one, very intimately, very personal, me and you. And this looks different for every single person because everyone's different. All right. And I've done well over 10 mentorships at this point, and most of the mentorships that I do, my clients end up booking another mentorship on top, just to show how much value it's offered in their life. And it's also offered a lot of value in my life too. It's something I'm very passionate about. So if this is something that you're resonating with and you want to work with me one-on-one to make sure you're setting the stage literally for success as you progress onwards with your development process, I would highly consider it. Second link below is where you can book the mentorships. Now there's also an option to book a one-on-one call. So if you're curious and you want to ask me some questions about a couple things, or maybe you've just been studying my content and you want to talk about some occult matters, by all means, check it out. You can book a one-on-one call and we could go over any of that stuff. I'm going to leave that there. Now we're moving into that same second link below. In that same second link, you also have an option to book a tarot card reading with me. This is going to be a unique tarot card reading that you've never received before. And the reason is because I understand the Kabbalistic tree way more than the average person does. So I can literally pinpoint where you are on that tree and tell you what you're feeling, experiencing, and going through in the present moment, and then what to expect moving into your near and your long-term future as well. I break down the cards in a very raw, honest way, the exact way that I need to communicate the message from everything that I'm picking up from the symbolism of the card itself. So there's going to be no sugarcoating, there's going to be no dabbling around the truth or pretending. It's exactly what you need to hear, whether that's positive or whether it's negative. All right. And I also include some oracle cards to just put in some extra context to the reading as well. So if this is something you want to take advantage of, look into it. It's the same second link below is where you can book it. I've done well over 2,000 readings. I do one almost every single day. I receive tons of valuable feedback. Once again, second link below. Go ahead, book your reading. We'll leave it there. Now I'm going to take your awareness to the third link in the YouTube description. In the third link below, you can become a YouTube member. And as you're becoming a YouTube member, you are getting access to a multitude of different benefits. But most importantly, you are gaining access to what is called the Psychic Warfare Emoji Program. And what this is this is a sequence of emojis that I've designed myself that are based on real occult principles. And you can use them in a specific configuration. You link in the name of a target, hit enter, and it actually causes psychic effects to the target of your choice. This also, not only is it the most simple way to use psychic warfare through the internet platform, but it also becomes an amazing way to start expressing healthy aggression and getting that out in a healthy way. All right, it's very harmful to repress anger. All right, so we need to find ways to start expressing it. And if you're someone who's gravitating more towards this type of work, this type of sort of black magic, then this is something you can absolutely utilize. So there are over 2,000 posts where members have used it already. There are members in this moment that are actively using it right now as we speak. If this is something you want to use for yourself, by all means, consider it. The third link in that YouTube description, you join at the top, and then you'll have access. So with that being said, this is where I'm going to wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate all of you very, very, very much. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day or night, wherever you are. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.